What if the way you think is not actually yours? Not your beliefs, not your opinions, not even your conclusions, but something quietly installed over time, layer by layer, voice by voice, until one day you stopped questioning. Think about this carefully. When was the last time you truly asked yourself, why do I believe what I believe? Not what you were told, not what feels comfortable, but what is actually true. Because here's the uncomfortable reality. Most people don't think. They react, they absorb, they repeat, and then they defend those borrowed ideas as if they were their own identity. But there is a moment, rare, uncomfortable, and powerful, when something inside you begins to resist. A quiet voice that asks, what if this isn't true? That moment is where critical thinking begins. And once you step into it, you will never see the world the same way again. If you've ever felt like something doesn't quite add up, you're in the right place. Stay with this channel, because what you're about to understand might change how you see everything. Most people believe they are thinking, but they are not. They are remembering, replaying ideas they've heard before, reinforcing beliefs they've never examined, repeating conclusions they never chose. And this creates something dangerous. Not ignorance, but the illusion of intelligence. Because when you think you know, you stop questioning. And when you stop questioning, you stop growing. Critical thinking begins not with answers, but with doubt. Not destructive doubt, not cynicism, but precise, intentional questioning. How do I know this is true? What evidence supports this? What if I'm wrong? These questions are uncomfortable, but discomfort is the price of clarity. The human mind does not seek truth. It seeks certainty. Certainty feels safe. It feels stable. It feels controllable. But truth is often uncertain, messy, incomplete, evolving, and that's why most people avoid it. They don't want to be wrong, because being wrong feels like losing control. But here's the paradox. The moment you accept the possibility of being wrong is the moment you begin to think clearly. Because now, you are no longer defending your beliefs. You are exploring them. Most decisions are not logical. They are emotional, and logic comes afterward, as a justification. You don't believe something because it's true. You believe it because it feels right. And then your mind works backward to prove it. This is how bias is created. This is how people stay trapped. Critical thinking requires distance, the ability to step back and ask, am I thinking or reacting? Because reaction is instant. Thinking is deliberate. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you believe has passed through a filter shaped by culture, by experience, by emotion. So what you call reality may only be your interpretation of it. Critical thinkers understand this. They don't trust first impressions. They investigate them. They ask, what is missing? What is hidden? What is assumed but not proven? Because truth is often buried beneath assumptions. If you do not think for yourself, someone else will, and they won't need to control your actions. They only need to influence your beliefs. Because beliefs shape decisions, and decisions shape your life. This is how control works. Quietly, indirectly, powerfully, and most people never notice. Because they feel like they are choosing, when they are actually following. And if you're starting to see how powerful this really is, take a second to like this video and subscribe. Not because you have to, but because very few people are willing to question this deeply. And if you are, you're already different. Critical thinking is not talent. It is a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained. Start with awareness. Notice your reactions. Notice your assumptions. Then slow down. Pause before agreeing. Pause before rejecting. Ask better questions. What evidence exists? What evidence is missing? What would prove this wrong? And most importantly, seek opposing views. Not to argue, but to understand. Because understanding both sides is how you see clearly. When you begin to think independently, something changes. You stop needing validation. You stop following crowds. You stop reacting blindly. And in that silence, you begin to see clearly. Not louder, not faster, but deeper. The world is loud. Opinions everywhere. Certainty everywhere. Confidence everywhere. But confidence is not truth. Critical thinking allows you to separate signal from noise. To see patterns others miss. To detect flaws others ignore. To understand what others simply accept. Once you develop this, you cannot go back. You begin to question automatically. Analyze naturally. See deeply. And slowly, you become free. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Critical thinking is not about knowing more. It is about seeing clearly. It is the difference between reacting and understanding, between following and choosing, between illusion and truth. Most people will never develop this. Not because they can't, but because they won't. Because it requires discomfort, honesty, and the courage to question everything, including yourself. But if you do, you gain something rare: clarity. And clarity is power. If you've made it this far, you're not like most people. So subscribe and stay on this path. Because once you start thinking for yourself, there is no going back.